All right, in this video, I'm going to go through the answers for questions 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So if you're not there yet, you're going to want to pause this and then come back. So in question number 4, you're just going to be factoring out that common factor of 3 sine theta, because 3 and 6 are both divisible by 3, leaving you with sine theta plus 2. You set these each equal to 0. Eventually, you get sine theta equals 0 and sine theta equals -2. If we think about some things here for a minute, you're getting that special value of 0. So if you're getting that special value of 0, that essentially means you're going to have to use the unit circle. So if you think about the unit circle and you think about sine being x, 0, 180, and 360, sine theta equals -2. The x values only ever go between -1 and 1, so that's not an option at all. Okay. If we zoom back out, take a look at question number 5 now. You're going to have to do factoring by grouping here. So what you're going to want to do is the 3 times 1 is 3. So you need numbers that multiply to 3 that add up to -4. And I didn't show all my work here, but essentially that's -3 and -1. So you'd end up with 3 sine squared minus 3 sine minus 1 sine plus 1 equals 0, which will eventually get you down to these two binomials. So sine theta equals 1/3 and sine theta equals 1. Again, unit circle, because you have one of those special values of 0, 1, or -1. Sine is y is equal to 1 at 90 degrees. When you do inverse sine of 1/3 on your calculator, you get 19. Sine is y, it's positive in quadrant 1 and 2. To get this 161, you're doing 180 minus 19 degrees. Okay, question 6. Similarly here, you're going to have to go with some factoring by grouping. 14 times -1 is -14. So you need numbers that multiply to -14 that add up to -5, which are -7 and +2. So this is going to look like something like this. Plus 2 cosine minus 1 equals 0. You factor by grouping and you'll get down to this. So you end up with these two values, -1/7, +1/2. When you do this in the calculator, do not type in the negative. You're going to get 82 degrees. Cosine is negative. X is negative in quadrant 2 and 3. So in quadrant 2, you're doing 180 minus the 82. And in quadrant 3, you're doing 180 plus the 82. And then for this 1/2 over here, it's a positive value. So cosine is positive in quadrants 1 and 4. So this is a positive acute angle. So that's going to be your answer in quadrant 1. And in quadrant 4, it's just going to be 360 minus that angle, in this case, 300. Okay, let's look at 7 and 8. 7, factoring by grouping. 3 times -8 is -24. You need numbers that multiply to -24 that add up to -10. So your numbers here are going to be -12 and 2. So not -6 and -4 because they have to multiply to a -24. So after you go through that, you're going to get to this point. Sine theta equals -2/3. Don't plug the negative in. You get 48 degrees. Y is negative in quadrant 3 and 4. So 180 plus 48 is where the 228 is coming from. And 360 minus 48 is where that 312 is coming from. Sine theta equals 4. The unit circle, sine only goes between, sine is y, -1 and +1, so you're going to get an error in your calculator. That's not going to give you any solutions. So you just have these two solutions here. And question 8. Again, factoring by grouping, 20 times -3 is -60. So you need numbers that multiply to -60 that add up to 7. So 12 and -5. You'd end up doing factoring by grouping to get to this point. Cosine theta equals 1/4. Inverse cosine or second cosine in the calculator to get 76, which honestly I think is wrong if my memory is correct. Inverse cosine 1/4 0.25. Oh, 76. Somewhere on here I have a mistake. I know I do. I just don't remember which question. Maybe I'll find it in a minute. So in quadrant 1, this is positive, so 76. Quadrant 2, the 4, 360 minus 76 is where the 284 comes from. Here, cosine theta equals negative 3/5. So what we're going to do on the calculator, inverse cosine 3/5 or 0.6, 53 degrees. Cosine is negative in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. So 180 minus 53 is where the 127 comes from, and 180 plus 53 is where the 233 comes from. So that's where that comes from. I think this is the mistake. Hold on, going back to number 7, I think this is where the mistake is. Inverse, yeah, this is it. Inverse sine of 2/3 is 42, if my memory is correct. Not 40. Yeah, 42. Okay. So this should have been 42 degrees. So this would have been 180 plus 42, 222, and 360 more minus 42 is 318. All right, you cannot worry about number 9 and 10 right now. We'll cover that next class. At this point, you can go ahead and work through the very last page and check your answers using the answer key, please.